This podcast discusses a non-stop, thrilling adventure fantasy series set in the brutal and competitive world of a military college for dragon riders, which includes potential spoilers for all published material. This episode includes elements regarding injury, death, grief, trauma, and explicit language. Listeners who may be sensitive to these elements, cross the parapet at your own risk and prepare to enter the Wing Readers. Welcome to the Wing Readers, where we deep dive into the Empyrean series chapter by chapter, theorize, and overanalyze. I'm Abby.
I'm John.
Cassie.
And today we are covering Fourth Wing Chapter 15. Here is your friendly reminder that we will be spoiling a whole bunch of stuff, so you have been warned. We're going to go into a very quick battle brief where we talk about personal and or podcast news. Just to give a little celebration here, we have surpassed 300 downloads as of recording. We have published the first 7 episodes, so that is very exciting. I just hope that the show continues to find folks who are equally obsessed with the series as we are.
Absolutely. According to RSS, we also have 11 rolling average listeners, which means that we have 11 people it can confirm have actively been listening to episodes as they've been coming out each week. So shout out to those 11 people.
I bet we could name all of you.
We also have 19 followers on Apple Podcast, so subscribers on Apple, which is very, very cool. I totally forgot to mention this when we were discussing what we would be talking about for Battle Brief, but shout out to my therapist Lisa, who is listening. I think at this point, last I talked to her, she's only listened to the first episode, but she said that we have a very nice dynamic and that she thinks I'm very cute. So
I think you're cute too, Abby.
Thank you.
I do too.
Aw.
Shout out to the listener who is in Portland, because yes, we do kind of get a little bit of a geographical breakdown as we've discussed before. To the listener who is in Portland, I am actually very close. So if we ever wanted to do a pod meetup, Portland might be a place to do it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, so we are going to send it over to John, our resident scribe, to break down the epigraph of Chapter 15.
As has been the theme for the last, 5 epigraphs, this one is clearly trying to warn us about what we're going to go into for this chapter. And so we get from the Book of Brennan, page 50, which is hilarious because he understands that they're going to be 2 months in when they read this advice. But he has already written 49 pages of advice before this.
What else is there to...
we discussed it. It's like classwork. It's gotta be, because he did not adequately prepare Violet for the gauntlet.
Yeah.
No. And,
so this was meant for Mira to get her through history.
Maybe it's hey, you don't like this particular ingredient, and I want you to know it's in all of these things in the cafeteria. There's gotta be an entire page dedicated to the best food in the cafeteria.
I know you're gluten-free, Mira, so please stay away.
Don't eat any of the pastries.
The pancakes are not safe. And if your sister's around, watch her.
Yep.
So from the Book of Brennan, just because you survive threshing doesn't mean you'll survive the ride to the flight field. Being chosen isn't the only test, and if you can't hold your seat, then you'll fly straight into the ground.
Which is very relevant, as that seems to be what our heroine is doing currently.
I was going to say, aren't we currently falling out of the sky?
Yeah, the book ended last chapter. I don't know why we're still here.
Yep. Why isn't the book over? She fell.
There's this really, really big excerpt at the back of the book.
That describes the splat-shaped mark that she left in the ground.
Describes her being commended to Malik and her mom, ouch, burning her things. Oh god. Okay. Cassie, I know we have a lot coming in chapter 16, but do we have any new pronunciations in this chapter?
Yes, we do. Last chapter, we got Tairn's name, and this chapter, we finally get Andarna.
Duh, I knew that.
Okay, so Andarna, or Andarnuram, as her full name is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna say that isn't the worst.
It's pretty close to how you would probably guess. The A kind of gets squished into the U, and we'll talk about the R's in a second. But it is made up of 3 words. An is the word for the, or it's one of the words for the. Darna is means like second. The da in there is the word for two with the little accent. And then uram means honor. So Andarna Uram is the second honor. She is the second to have the honor of bonding Violet.
Yes. Or it is Violet's second honor.
Yes.
Of a second dragon.
And I really like good old isolatedcolorYT has a comment. As soon as Tairn introduced himself, I was like, oh, so Violet's probably going to wield lightning? Sweet. And then it made me laugh that poor Andarna is basically just being called the second one all the time.
Aww.
Yeah, it's my headcanon that the second honor is referring to Violet, as in, like
she's got multiple honors.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I lean towards it's actually more to do with Andarna's role in history.
The second coming of the Irids.
Right, she is supposed to be the second honoring of the Irids.
She's Jesus.
And you thought there was no Jesus in this book. Just you wait, there might be 2.
Yeah, no, she might be the second honor to the Imperium, like to the riot.
Yes. I like that. What's the word? Interpretation.
So I just had a couple comments about counting and R's. So
go for it.
So, okay, let's see if I can get to 10. So one of the things about counting is there's like the regular words for counting, like if you're talking about how many of something there is. So we've got un, da, tri, cehith, coig, shia, shach, och, nuj, and jech. So that's 1 through 10.
Very nice.
But if you're counting, you add the word the at the beginning, and you do that that lenition thing to the letter. So it'd be ahun, aha, atri, aheth, etc., etc.
Okay.
The first time I heard this from it's the Coffee Break Gaelic podcast episode about numbers. And the first time I was like, those are not the numbers I learned. And then she explained it. I was like, oh, okay.
And we will link that episode in the show notes.
And that is one of those examples where when you lenite the D in the word for two, da, it turns into ga with that kind of soft G sound. So, and then in other words, like in Gaelic, there's a DH in the middle that doesn't make a sound at all.
Well, there you go.
Very convenient.
What's interesting about all of this to me is that the word for 7 sounds incredibly similar to one of the Japanese words for 7. And
I was actually thinking that too.
It's very weird because Asian languages and European languages usually have very little crossover. Their origins are completely different. But
7 is shichi, right?
Yeah. And so it's very interesting to me that 7 is so similar sounding in these very completely different languages.
Yeah, the spelling's entirely different.
Can you say 7 again?
It's like shach. S-E-A-C-H-D.
What was the word
pretty
after
sure.
shock?
Och. O-H.
Nope, that's not it.
O-C-H-D.
One of them I thought sounded a little more Shi'i than Sha'i.
Shia, 6.
I
might have 7
It was
wrong.
off.
And I mean, shi is 4 in Japanese, right? Ichi ni san shi go roku shichi hachi kuju.
That sounds right. I didn't remember all of those, but they sound familiar.
That's the literal, besides Spanish, that is the only number, the only numbers I know in a different language.
I just remember that go is my favorite because I really like how the 5 looks in I don't even remember which writing system it is, but
And see, this is my language understanding is so disparate across so many different places. I understand. I remember how certain words sound like she or shichi, but I can identify the numerical numbers 0 through 9 in Chinese because I play a lot of mahjong.
Okay.
oh, yeah.
But I can't say any of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing that I thought was interesting to note in Andarna's name is the single versus double R. It seems like, based on my research today, that it's very similar to how R's are pronounced in Spanish, where a single R is usually like a tapped R, depending on your accent. I think it also can sound like an R, R, and a double R is more of that trilled sound. So the double R in uram is more of that rolling R that English speakers often have a hard time with. Included, like I can do it, but it's hard for me.
I used to be able to roll my R's when I was a kid, and then I got an expander, and after I got it out, I completely lost the
Oh,
ability to roll my R's. I've never been able to do it since then.
I'm pretty
See,
Like I
sure.
try and I'm like,
I'm pretty sure there's a genetic component to the ability to do it. I don't know what speakers of these languages do when they can't make that sound, or if they just figure out a different way, because babies and children are very creative and flexible about pronunciation.
Yes, I know. My son, my son, we just took him to Seattle Children's a couple weeks ago to get his speech evaluated, and the specialized speech language pathologist there that specializes in velopharyngeal insufficiency, which is the soft palate, says that Noah has a complex case. She has like 6 total kids that are as complex as him. So, yes, he learned a very interesting way of speaking.
I will also add to all of this, like, as someone who has a decent understanding of conversational Spanish, I can only roll my R if I'm speaking in, like, a true Latin America version of Spanish, not, like, the Spain version of Spanish. So if I had to roll my R and I said Barcelona, Barcelona is easy to do. But Barcelona, I can't do. I can't do the
Well,
TH from the R.
Barcelona is that's not a trilled R, that's a tapped R, so you wouldn't have to do it there anyway.
Oh, whatever.
And the other
Sagrada.
well, see, that's not a double R either.
Yet, I will tell you that it's rolled in almost every pronunciation.
There are
Sagrada.
there are a lot of times an R at the beginning of a word, maybe at the beginning of a syllable, like you're saying, can be rolled. That's another thing that's true in both Spanish and Gaelic. In researching this, I ended up on a Reddit thread about Gaelic in the Gaelic subreddit, but in Spanish. So I was reading my second language about a third language on linguistic terms that I don't even entirely understand in my first language. It felt very meta.
That has a lot of layers to it.
I love how the most part our native language is the one that we understand the least about because it's just we don't have to learn the rules really. We just like innately pick them up as little kids. And so, for example, we know that it's like the big red ball and not the red big ball because of
It just
the way that
feels
we
right.
order our adjectives because that's just right.
But no
Um,
one can
but
ever
yeah.
list the actual order, like that one post that's like, it's the size
I
color
love that
ball,
post.
not the color size ball.
Yeah.
And so, like,
Mhm.
yeah, that post is hilarious to me because you're right. None of us would ever be able to list that order if we were asked to, but if we were given a set of descriptions, we'd put it right in order without a problem.
Yep. I know exactly what post you're talking about. I
Me
will do
too.
my best to try to find it to link it.
There are just brief aside on this note, there are other things like reduplication, which is I think if I'm remembering correctly, if you say something like fuzzy wuzzy, where you're like, or no, that's a different thing. Reduplication is when you repeat something and I can't remember an example. Anyhow, my point is there's a podcast called Lingthusiasm, which is two linguists who talk to each other about things, and
That sounds right up my
they
alley.
bring up these kinds of things that you're like, oh yeah, that is how it works. I never realized there was a term for this. And one of the hosts, Gretchen McCullough, is the author of Because Internet, which is all about internet linguistics, and I love it, and I highly recommend it.
Please write a note to include that in the notes as well, please. And also just for my personal consumption.
Oh yes, not linguini enthusiasm.
Also linguini enthusiasts.
Okay, back to R's. There's another word that I've mentioned on the podcast before. We were talking about the orange dragons that has two R's in it. That's kuran, and that's the word for carrot. I just thought I'd share it because it has the double R's again.
And that's why the cat had to be named Broccoli, is because there was already a dragon named Carrot.
Well, there's not, as it turns out, but the opportunity was there. I also found a couple TikToks by native speakers that go through pronunciations of the dragons, such as, Tairn and Andarna, as we just went through. One of them is called Kertgulior. I hate that word. So there's this phrase in Scottish Gaelic, Kertgulior, which means I'm like, okay, all right. It literally means right enough. So this TikToker's username, Kertgulior, lure is the word for book, and so it's a pun on Kertgulior, but also like the book. So it's basically like literally it's like just right book. And it's a pun on the words for okay.
I love that. I love hearing how puns work in other languages because I'm obsessed with them.
And she notes that the accents on words like da for two or bas for baskayeth are really important, because if you don't put the accent and you don't draw out that word, it could be a different word entirely. So like bast without the drawing out of the A means palm of your hand. And palm of your hand, wing, college, is not as scary.
That's fair.
There's another TikToker that goes through more of the dragon names, pretty much all for the whole book. His name's Kenny Boyle. We've definitely thrown this one between us in our personal chats before, so we can link those as well. You'll note that they have some variation between how they each say things, and that's because of accents. Woo! And that is all of my notes. That's as much as I could draw out in Darna's notes.
Well, it's going to be a busy chapter next go around, so
Yes.
there are several. Okay. All right. John, I think we are ready for chapter 15. If you'd like to take us away.
Okay.
Whisk us back into this world.
Chapter 15 will be quick, she says. We'll get through both chapters, no problem, she says. 30
Well,
minutes
I
later.
didn't know that Cassie had so much to say about Indarna. My bad.
As we were just remarking, we left off with our girl Violet dropping at a rapid velocity through air she had not intended to fly through. Our girl is panicked as she realizes she's going to die. She got on a dragon for one time, and that was all she could manage. Just as Tairn catches her in his claws and jerks her body up into an upright position.
I touched on this in our last chapter, but he makes so many accommodations for Violet, and I have several notes about it through this chapter, but I'm wondering, especially because all the other dragons seem to make a big fuss about it when they land. I'm like, it doesn't seem like any of the other dragons are accommodating at all.
Mm-mm.
So I'm wondering why Tairn and why Violet. And I can't remember if I actually wrote this down in my notes or later, or if I just assumed I would remember it now. I am remembering it now, but it might come back up again later. That we know about magic having a balance. And I think it does get brought up in the book that maybe someone so powerful has to be so weak in other ways.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if I'm just wondering how much about Violet is like predetermined or predestined, especially because Andarna like specifically hatched for her. I'm wondering if they have any sort of prophecy or something. It's just like I'm just wondering if there isn't like a reason like that why he's being accommodating towards her, then why is he being accommodating towards her?
Well, and like I love this because I saw this. This is one of those Instagram posts I kept for myself. Saw this post on Instagram, and we'll get to the point where this actually becomes relevant later. But it ends up being that Violet is one of the few beings on the continent capable of standing up to the second largest dragon, basically the second largest creature on the continent, and telling him to shut the fuck up and stop doing what he's doing. Like, the power that Violet is given here because of the respect that Tairn shows her is immense. And so it's very, very, it's a huge thing here. What about this very small, very petite, very non-threatening in many regards girl is so capable of bringing the most powerful creature on the continent to heel? Our girl's got power. Speaking of power, I love the smartass remarks that we get from Tairn this entire chapter.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
you're making us look bad. Stop it. Just like, as if she has a choice over the matter at this particular moment.
You're leaking. Stop it.
And I love simple flight is hardly acrobatics.
Yeah, as if anything about his flight is actually simple.
Yeah. And of course, Violet has the realization that she is currently being carried through the air by one of the deadliest dragons in Navarre. The one that swore he would never bond again. Again, Violet, what about Violet brings the second largest dragon out of hiding and into bonding, even though he knows it's probably going to kill him? Like, yo. Tairn decides to help Violet find her seat again in a way that I think was actually quite accommodating. Why not just throw her up in the air and then slam her ass into the seat?
And this is my second note about accommodations. Honestly, his accommodations lead to new and innovative flying and fighting techniques, showing that making room for everyone is good, not just for them as an individual, but for society as a whole.
Right? Think about how fast Tairn and Violet have gotten at getting off the ground. The one thing that we know they need to be able to do on a moment's notice. They've gotten so good at doing it because of that. And also, Violet gets a lot more comfortable with the concept of being thrown into the air to have her ass land in the seat.
She's the flyer on the cheer squad.
Oh my god, she totally is. Did I not make that connection?
Oh my lord.
She's truly the flyer. Oh, I love it. He's just doing a basket toss.
Right. Tairn makes a comment that she needs to get in her seat and hang on or no one will believe that he has chosen her. Because of course, the expectations that dragons have for their riders prior to this moment. And he comments, what, didn't you practice? Your leg muscles be weak as shit.
She's like, yes, of course I did.
But yeah, like what kind of, I would like to, I'm back to the whole saddle practice thing of like, how exactly are they practicing to see if your leg muscles are strong enough? Do they like have grab onto the thing and then they just turn it upside down and shake it to see if you fall off?
Again, it's the
we're
bull
talking about it
riding
being a mechanical
thing.
bull. Yeah.
I love this. Was everyone's dragon a curmudgeon or just mine? Literally from the first minutes, Violet calls him a curmudgeon. Like, that is a theme that will never go away.
He is such a curmudgeon, and I love him for it.
She pushes back that she's not as strong as others and that she's just the weak, that she is what she is, to which Tairn snaps back here. I know exactly who and what you are.
Violet Sorengale.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love that line.
I will share that, especially in the graphic audio version, that line gets hyped up a ton. And I think it's because they knew everyone just adored that line.
I really like how she's talking out loud and he's like, there's no need to shout. I can hear you just fine.
I can imagine if this were to be a movie instead of a TV show, that line being said in the theater and like everybody just erupting into applause. Ah,
Absolutely. Or I'm just imagining the last Twilight movie when they got into the big fight sequence and like the looks
yes!
on
I was
everyone's
there.
faces.
Midnight release. I was there. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And the laughter of relief.
When you flash back to Alice.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yep, spoilers for Breaking Dawn Part 2, that it was all Alice's vision and none of that actually happened. Everyone was panicking.
No,
And
everyone was, and then like we get to Alice, you got laughter. I swear to God, my entire movie theater gasped. They went, oh, and like you heard the oh
We were like,
roll through the room.
No, we were like, oh, thank God.
I was just listening to a podcast where I can't even remember which one it was, but they were talking about how one of them really liked Twilight and they were like making their partner watch Breaking Dawn with them or something, and how they cry every time, and their partner was like, I thought you said this was fake, and she's like, yeah, but it's still sad.
Carlisle's death. Oh, every time.
And this is also so funny because one of my favorite podcasts, Too Scary Didn't Watch, which is a horror movie recap podcast, they have covered all of the Twilight movies as kind of like, we know this isn't horror, but we want to do it. And I literally last night just finished listening to Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Breaking Dawn Part 2. So this is so funny that this is coming up in conversation.
I promise everybody we will get back to the actual media that we're here to talk about. But one last comment on Breaking Dawn.
Synchronicity is fun.
I also love the joke that happened around the time that that movie came out, because obviously in the week after, everyone started talking about the one scene that no one expected. And the joke became they had to put a fight in there so that the boyfriends weren't disappointed. And if you think about it, they really did do a Marvel Cinematic Universe big fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mostly think that they just put it in there because otherwise it would be kind of boring and anticlimactic, which in the book it
did
is
you
a little
not
bit.
know, I just about said Rebecca Yarros. What's her name? Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer insisted that it had to be part of the movie because when she went out on the book tour for the last book, everyone kept asking her about the Arrow Alice back and forth and what was seen and what was done and how can it cause such a pivotal change and what could Alice have shown him, and she tried to prompt them to like guess that it was a big fight scene. And basically no one got
I'm not
it.
complaining at all because yes, it's insinuated in the books, but it reads very anticlimactic because you don't get to see it as the reader. So I do really enjoy that they put it in there
For the climax.
or else it would have probably still been anticlimactic.
Yeah. And so a large part of it, anyway, Stephanie Meyer has gone public to say that she wanted the fight to be in there because she wanted to be able to give everybody this little glimpse of what Alice had shown him. And so that was her finally answering a question from the fans. Much like many of the questions we've raised. Okay. Back to the book at hand. Violet's legs shake as she tries to hold on to Tairn up until magic steps in, and we find out that dragons can actually magically bond their riders to their back. Like, yo. Game changer.
It is a huge game changer.
And notably, it won't be something that he'll have to continue doing in the future, which they comment on, like, it's distracting to dragons, and I could totally buy the whole Tairn is so powerful, even a minor distraction to him is negligible. But part of me wonders if that really was the case, or if it was such a drain on him that he knew they had to find a different solution, so that's why he supported Xaden in doing the saddle, right? Like,
yeah.
We can talk about that another time.
Yeah. let's examine that once it becomes relevant again.
Right, let's wait till the saddle actually makes the page.
Yep. She feels guilty about this.
Right, she feels guilty that he has to hang on, which is horrible because feeling guilty that people are accommodating for you is not something you should do. But the world makes you.
Even though I live that every day of my life.
Right.
But, yeah.
And Violet remarks that she never thought she'd make it this far, and I love Tairn. I didn't think I would either, so hey. Friends!
And do we think that he didn't think he would make it that far because losing Naolin almost killed him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or he just
And
thought
so,
he'd never like trust to bond humans again. Like
Oh, that too.
there are so many
oh,
ways that maybe he didn't think he'd get as far.
To where he
Yeah.
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. I do have, like, in my head, because he's just about 100 years old, and we know that that's middle age for dragons, which implies that 200 is not unreasonable. And no human lives for 100 years, let alone a driver. And speaking
They're
statistically,
not bonded anyway.
the life expectancy of a bonded rider is probably 30,
Yeah.
maybe 40.
I'd say that's fair.
So, like, at best, Tairn is giving himself another 20 years to live.
Well, they're 20 when they bond. So
Yeah.
life expectancy can't be 20. It's probably like 25.
Well, John said 30, 40.
30,
Oh,
40, which
I
is
heard
20
30,
years
20.
more.
I heard him. Okay. It's like, wow, we're like.
You're like 20. Well, I mean, a lot of them do die.
But do we
like,
think enough
as they become
to
writers,
drive the
so.
average down? Like, okay, are like riders dying as soon as they're bonded, or like how babies and children born before 5 drag down the life expectancy in the Middle Ages? We're like,
yeah.
people used to die at 30. No. People
No.
lived well into old
Cassie,
age.
really quick, you said babies and children born before age 5.
Who died
heard that
before
too.
5?
And I was like, wait a second, I'm trying to do the calculus. All babies are born before age 5.
Yes, Cassie, you're right that back in the ye olden days when child life expectancy was horrible, dying children made it look like the average human lived for 30 years, when in
Yes,
reality,
because people don't
if you made it
understand
past
what
5.
average life expectancy means.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I specifically said bonded riders, is because we guarantee that they make it at least through the first 20 years.
Well, right. I was just saying that if we're counting the ones who die immediately, that's going to drag that average down
Average
too.
down a bit, yeah.
I was mostly going off of the idea that very few riders retire.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
back to what I was doing here. Violet takes a moment to pull herself into the seat and acknowledge all of the dragons that are beneath her, flying on the valley, threshing and bonding, and realizing that she could be like the rest of them as she watches a rider fall from a red sword tail. And that rider does go splat.
Yep.
Poor guy.
There's no other way to describe it. As soon as a rider falls off their dragon, I am going to describe them as splat marks, and that's it.
Ink blots. We're
that
scribes
is-
here.
Ink blots. I do like ink blots.
Rorschach tests.
I wonder what kind
Do
of
you see-
Rorschach test I would make if I fell from a dragon.
Do you see a desecrated body, or do you see
Butterflies.
butterfly? Yeah. Dragon spreading its wings.
Right? And then Tairn informs Violet they're going to have to put on a show. Like, clearly he has to convince all of the other dragons that he really did this, he's really here, and he's not going anywhere. This was legit.
And she's worth the trouble.
Right? And I love that it basically turns into a literal air show, like trick pilot jet plane, like shooting themselves
Yep.
up into weird positions and then doing weird flips and
I wrote Dragon Roller Coaster.
So did I.
Sign me up.
We get to the point where they're talking about like the most horrifying yet exhilarating moment of her life, and then he twists, and then her body's
until
like,
he twists
"Ah!"
again.
But
Yeah.
she's grinning
Yep.
the whole time,
Yep,
and I was
yep.
like, I also love roller coasters. Vi, me too.
If I love roller coasters, if anybody listening has been to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, my all-time favorite amusement park, and the Griffin is my all-time favorite roller coaster, and the mythical Griffin, and just that yes. And so I was just imagining being back on that roller coaster. I miss it dearly.
See, and I am sitting here thinking I would have a better time riding a dragon than a roller coaster. Because the thing I hate the most about roller coasters is how, like, clangy and jangly and jerky they are on the tracks.
Jarring.
Yeah. Versus you're on a dragon, there's no tracks. These all be fluid movements and shifting throughs, and there's a lot of weight and counterweight. And that has to be the most relaxing roller coaster of your life. So long as you can hang on.
The fear of falling to the ground below and dying.
Yeah. Obviously, there is nothing like this, as our girl Violet points out. Eventually, Tairn decides that they've made their point, and I have to just imagine how much airspace he was taking up that the dragon, like, I imagine that other dragons were fearful of launching out of the valley because he was doing everything that he was doing. He's taking up that much airspace.
Make some room. Back it up.
Violet remarks that the sun is setting, and even if she hadn't been selected by Tairn, she might have still had the chance to go for next year, given everything that happened. I'm like, girl, if Tairn hadn't shown up, he'd be dead. Like, we know it. Although, maybe not. Do you think Andarna would have killed the other writers? Just, like, bitten their head off?
I don't think she can... I don't know, maybe. But I think she's talking about Andarna not bonding and living to decide next year. Not herself.
Oh, Golden Dragon up ahead. See, this is what I get for skimming instead of reading. You're right. She thinks, okay, poor little Golden Dragon, at least it has next year, and maybe it'll be bigger by then. And we get to what will be one of the biggest conversations of this chapter. Why did Tairn choose her?
Yep.
And we get our first deflection, which is because you saved her. You defended Andarna. To which I'm like, was Andarna really ever in danger? Like,
it's not about whether the danger was real. It's about whether Violet's response to danger was real.
Okay.
In my opinion. Yeah, it's about Violet's character, not whether there was actually a problem.
Yeah, and even if Andarna couldn't have defended herself or would have flown off, Mama Scale was right there. She had her back. Nothing was going to happen to that baby.
Well, and then, like, you add to the point that, like, even if Andarna wasn't in danger, Violet definitely was. So there is the fact of, even if Andarna's danger wasn't real, Violet still put herself, even if it was a needless risk,
she put herself in danger. She risked her own danger to save a dragon, and that shows something.
Moral fiber.
Yes.
I do enjoy moral fiber, as Dumbledore would put it.
It helps keep you regular.
Violet snaps back with, I'm not strong, I'm not cunning, I'm not ferocious. That's what dragons value. And I love the sarcasm from Tairn. Please, tell me what I'm allowed to think. I love that, because it's like...
Do tell me more about what I value.
Already talking back to a dragon, Violet.
I know.
That takes some ferocity. Right? Let's go.
Also, like, stop... I mean, it's fine to want to know why he chose you, but, like, stop questioning his judgment.
Stop arguing with him. Yeah.
Right? Stop second-guessing his choice, or else he'll start second-guessing his choice.
Yeah. And then you will become an ink blot.
Okay. I love every now and then you guys get that high-pitched burst out of me. As they come into the valley, Violet is awed by the spectacle of all of the dragons, not only throughout the valley, but also spattering the mountainside, watching and enjoying the act that is threshing and bonding. We get a comment that they are divided by those that are still in the quadrant, but chosen years past, and those that were chosen today inside the valley. And that 70 other bonds had entered the field at the time that Tairn and Violet did.
Yes, which is approximately a 75% dragon success rate.
About a 75% dragon success rate. 75%. As they come into their landing, Tairn finally comes up with the conclusion that he can give Violet, knowing that she will not stop asking why she was chosen, and it's going to be a relevant conversation, not only to herself, but to the others around her.
Because she keeps thinking self-deprecating thoughts at him.
Yeah, and he wants that shit to stop. And so he says that she is the smartest of her here, the most cunning, and defended the smallest with ferocity, with a strength of courage more powerful than a strength of physical attributes, since she apparently needs to know before they land. I'm like, aw, he throws all of her words back at her. Strength, courage, ferocity, all of it. Like,
Yep, and just to analyze this a little bit, he points out her intelligence, that she is the smartest, echoing what Kaori told her. that she is I wrote cunningest, but I know it is most cunning. She's the cunningest, which is what the blacks are. They are the most cunning. So that lines up with Tairn. And then, yes, throwing back her words in her face that dragons value strength, cunning, and ferocity, he says, you defended the smallest with ferocity, and your strength is in your courage, not in your physical strength. So just a beautiful parallels there.
Not to mention that within about a year or so, she'll be capable of launching electricity with her fingers.
True.
Yes.
And if we're thinking about, like, the reasons that Tairn would want to bond someone and, like, what his goals and motivations are, all of these things show that Violet is promising as a defendant of the weak and, like, civilians and etc. in the fight against the Venin, which we know that
and she's
Tairn
not going to leave civilians on the other side of the border like other people
she fights for what's right and uses her intelligence to do that. She doesn't just do what she's told.
Or what's wise, even. She won't save her own skin.
Yeah, she sees the odds and she says, I'm going to go up against those.
Yep.
Violet's stubborn Sorrengail.
Yeah, our girl.
And then what I love about this is Violet has the first realization that Tairn is responding not to things that she's saying, but to things that she's thinking. He is literally in her brain. And he gives her what has to be the most threatening promise I have ever heard in my life. You will never be alone again.
She's like, oh, yikes.
I wonder how long it takes other writers to figure out the mind thing. And if he's like, you figured it out before everyone else.
I think he's being a smartass. Yeah. No, I think he's being a smartass. I think that she's a little slow on the uptake for this
It does feel slow because she's spending all this time hearing it in her mind, but then talking out loud. I'm like, Violet.
Yeah.
But I do want to know how long it takes other people to catch on. And was it last time that we talked about, or did we not do it on air, about whether or not we would want to have a dragon's voice in our head forever?
I think we talked about it on air.
Because I talked about Mama Sorrengail giving birth with a dragon in her head, and I talked about, like, would you want a cheerleader in your head, or would you want that snark so that because think about Xaden and Sagail and, like, the bonus chapters we've gotten with Xaden and Sagail. She is the snarkiest little bitch
I haven't read those.
Ever heard to him. Oh, you got to.
They're on Rebecca's website.
She's such a snark. It's so amazing.
Well, Violet agrees with you and me, John, that never being alone ever again sounds more like a threat than a comfort.
Than a promise.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this, bestie. Built-in bestie for life.
Where am I at? Okay. As they land, the golden dragon reaches up to them. Of course, I'm going to keep going with Goldie for the moment here.
Mm-hmm.
And Violet remarks as they hit the ground, she can hang on just fine when they're not moving.
Giving that snark right on back to him.
Mm-hmm. Tairn snaps back with, dismount before I choose a differently. And Violet has to face the reality. She is now landing into the box canyon with a busted ankle, bleeding arm, on the largest dragon with no real good way to get down. Hoping that there is some level of medical care ready for her once she does.
And I'm like, does she not think that Nolan is there, though? She's like, I'm just hoping that they have, like, something. And I'm like, yeah, healers aren't allowed, but Nolan is a writer. I'm sure he is there helping the most dramatic of the injuries.
Right. And so that clearly comes up later, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then, of course, as they begin the dismount process, Tairn extends his arm, or his leg, I guess I should say, and provides Violet with an easier way down. All I can think of is it's a dragon slide. And I guarantee
when she takes the invitation and he's like, I guess so.
Right. And I guarantee you, Riddick saw this and immediately turned to his dragon and went, please.
It's like, please. Please, I'm begging you.
And so this is where I'm like, I understand that dragons are very picky, but if I had a kid, I'd ask the dragon to let my kid slide down its leg once or twice, just for the experience. Like, come on, give the kid some joy. Just saying. And we get this wonderful perspective from the dragons as all of them begin to make noises across the valley, and Violet's like, shit. Are they muttering? I love that she's constantly hearing dragon noises and immediately calls it like, shit, that's muttering. Or later something else happens and she's like, did they just do this? And Tairn's like, yeah, they did.
Yep, ignore it.
Yep, just ignore it. Because of course it's Tairn and he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Mm-hmm. Just like his wifey.
And then I love that once Violet, yeah, as you said, once Violet completes her slide down, he just remarks, that's one way to do it. To which all I can comment on, that's the only way to do it, my friend.
Like, what did you
That's the
expect,
only
Tairn?
way.
She's not gonna turn around and crawl backwards.
Violet has the wonderful realization that she's a rider before pivoting to the golden feathertail and saying, I'm glad that you made it. Thrilled probably being the right word, as she herself remarks, but says you really should fly off next time someone warns you to fly off. Like, if you'd listened to me, we might not have had such an issue. And we get to meet Andarna. She blinks and then says, maybe I was saving you. Which I love is such a, like, snark. Dragons are these kings and queens of snark, even from a young age.
Yep. I think that she might be being a bit of a smart. Like, I'm confused. Like, what could she literally mean here by maybe I was saving you?
Giving her an opportunity to show off so that a dragon could see her. Well, she gave Violet an opportunity where she had to use all of her skills to their max or die, and that helped Violet be able to see that she does have a lot of capabilities, which she can now draw on going forward.
Yeah. I'm just thinking because we learn later that Andarna hatched literally for Violet, and I'm fully bought on that. Andarna's like, she has a whole plan. Like, she has a plan. She's moving all the strings in the background. Like, I hatched for Violet. I'm bonding Violet, and nothing is going to get in the way of that. And she needs Tairn's help because she's just a little wee babe. And so I feel like she's manipulating things behind the scenes, but still I'm like, how, I don't know.
How much of it was, like, purposely...
And maybe I'm thinking too literally about saving.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if maybe I'm thinking too literally about saving, like, her life. Maybe it's like, no, I'm getting you on your right path, maybe. But obviously, if she hadn't been there, Violet never would have been in the situation where her life was in danger in the first place.
I enjoy the idea of, like, a bratty Andarna talking to Tairn and Sigale, like, putting her toe in the water when there's like, don't get in the water, and she's like, well, it's just my toe. It's just my toe.
Well, you say that nothing would have happened to Violet if Andarna wasn't there, but if Andarna wasn't there, then the trio might have set their sights on killing Violet when there were no consequences instead of trying to kill the dragon.
That is also a fair point. I'm still curious why Jack Barlow was so convinced he needed to kill a baby dragon.
Again, I think that I don't know how much he knows, but he knows enough. I think that he was trying to take it out before it could be a problem.
Yeah, I could see that. He knows it's a baby. I agree with that.
And or we talked about this last time, or he might suspect that it's an Irid, possibly. Knowing that feathertails don't bond and abhor violence, that's more about the Irids than babies.
Yeah.
So so he knows something, and he is trying to eliminate this threat before it fully manifests.
I agree. Violet, of course, is a little shocked at the fact that Andarna is talking to her and calls her out like, girl, don't get in trouble. You're not allowed to talk to me. And Andarna just stays silent. I love that. The smart ass of like, I've already snuck my way into this bond. There's nothing. It's just that content swishing tail. Nothing can be done to change it. Fix it if you or object all you want.
Also, like, I'm not going to tell you that you are my writer until you have to.
Yeah.
The drama.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm holding my cards. I will play them when the time is right.
And we get our first reaction of what everyone is going to think about the whole situation here from some random cadet from Claw Section 4th Wing next door who's just like, shit, is that the dragon that none of us swore we'd ever see? Yeah, it is.
We can call him Helen.
Yeah, it's Helen.
It's Helen.
All characters that are unknown and we never see again. Hi, Helen.
And Helen returns, but she's a boy now, and she's from...
She's no longer in the Healer's Quadrant. She is a male writer who has been here this whole time.
Didn't you know? As Violet makes her way over to the dais where people record the names of their dragons to prove that they have officially bonded, she begins to remark on the reactions playing out across the dais. Of course, there's her mother beady-eyeing the fucking black dragon, but what really draws Violet's attention away from her mother is the only general who outranks her mother, Melgren, who is, like, death glaring at Tairn at this particular moment. Like, this man is very confounded.
Okay, I'm going to jump in with my Melgren interpretation here, and then I will continue with my interpretations as we get to them.
Yeah.
So, Melgren, he is looking with cold calculation at Tairn and glancing at Violet. So, to me, I'm wondering if he has not seen Tairn in battles.
Oh.
Because he is, like, let me try to put pieces together. We know that she only fights with marked ones.
Yep.
So he's like, okay, so he's, I feel like at this point is scrambling because he never saw Tairn coming. He has not seen Tairn in a battle.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with that.
Yeah, so he's trying to decipher right now if maybe she doesn't make it, she dies before that ever becomes relevant, or if she's going to cozy up to the marked ones.
That I don't think he quite sees the Marks one connection yet because it's Violet Sorengale. Like, I think he's banking so much on her last name that keeping her from the marked ones at this moment. And so that's why he's so confused, because he can't come up with a reasonable explanation, right?
It might not even have to be her cozying up to, but if she's fighting them, they're still at the battle, and therefore he couldn't see it, right? Like, there's a way that she could be involved, and he might not. Like, the absence of being able to see them could tell him that she's involved somehow with the other people he can't see, but that doesn't necessarily mean allyship.
Sure.
But
I also think that in his head, though, it is a very real possibility that she's going to die before any of it's ever relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, he downplays the hell out of her later on.
Yeah.
So.
And I could see that, not wanting to completely say it in front of the mother of that person, because
not to be the bearer of bad
him.
news, but I never see you in my visions.
Which is, like, when it comes from a prophet, that actually is kind of a death sentence, as we've discussed in other series, Abby.
Yes.
No comment.
I just wanted, from this whole process about the role keeping thing, I know we've been confused about this before when we were talking about, like, oh, what if the dragons, like, change their names and stuff? But it does seem like the scribes do have the official list of names. They and the writer are the only ones who have it.
So,
but
we'll
how
get
did the
to
names
it next
get
chapter,
onto
but
the...
I have a lot of thoughts.
I was going to say, how did the names get onto the list? Like, how do the people in the Writer's Quadrant even know what the names are supposed to be before they get down? Because the dragons tell them. And so I could totally be, like, this is the humans trying to impose some sort of control over knowledge that they have on the dragons, and the dragons are laughing their asses off in the background because they've been biasing the information from the start.
I have notes about it next chapter.
Okay.
Because the only thing that I'll say right now is Rebecca Yarros has, in an interview, said who says they're telling the truth at this, specifically at roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I'm going to go ahead and skip past Mama Sorengale. Like, obviously she's rising, she's staring. I'm going to skip past her for a second here.
She comes last for me too, so that works out perfectly.
I have comments about her.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Hold
it for one paragraph, Cassie. One paragraph.
I'm going to request you hold it for 2.
So we get Kaori. Oh yeah, we have Pancheck. I forgot Pancheck. We get Kaori, who literally is, like, throwing himself off the platform to get closer, and is like, I can't remember what the right word is it, but what is it when a guy like does the whole up and down stair thing? What's the word for it when they
The what?
there's like a
Like sweeps?
yeah, but
No.
there's like a word
Yeah.
that women use to put that context into a I don't want to say derogatory, but like there's a phrasing that kind of takes that
Eyes you up and down.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
What the hell? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But he like for lack of better
The
phrase
once over.
no, but it's like molesting you with your eyes or something like that. Like
Oh, okay.
Oh, like undressing you with your
undressing you with
eyes?
your
Him
eyes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, we got
basically
there.
like Tairn is being undressed by Kaori here, which is just
Yep.
hilarious to me.
Yep. And my note here is just memorizing him for his updated projection and for scholarly interest.
Just for scholarly interest. And then we get Commandant Panchek, who's just like, there's no fucking way.
Yep. Yep. And my note for him, so he's obviously in disbelief. So we know from the end of Onyx Storm that Panchek is either a Venin or a Venin informant. It's not quite clear, but I'm leaning towards informant because he doesn't seem like
Yeah.
he has the extra power that the Venins have.
Mhm.
And we know that he is leaking info the entire time. So
Like a sieve.
the Venin are immediately going to know about Tairn and Andarna.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
So-
this information is now public to everyone on the continent, not just
Yes.
Navarre.
Exactly. So the main question comes down to what is in it for Panchek to be this informant? And I think it's just simply that he wants the power. We know that he's after Mama Sorrengail's job and then after that Melgren's job. So I'm assuming that he came to an agreement with the Venin that they will somehow get those two out of the way so that he can rise to power. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me for why he would.
They're paying
Do
him
this.
under the table. And that mystery money we never...
He's
Corruption.
hiring assassins.
Yeah. And just an interesting note here. Commandant, I always say commandant in my head. Commandant Panchek has an unknown signet. According to the Empyrean Wiki, we do not know what his signet is, which I just found fascinating and wanted to point that out.
Holy shit.
I was shocked too. I was like, surely we must know. And I'm just not remembering.
Wow. That's gonna be a... Now, oh my god, that's one of those fucking secrets that she's been hiding for... Okay.
So, and the funny thing is, it could be, I don't think it is, but it could be something like so simple, like, oh, he just has fire that it's so normal that it's not even like worth it to remark on. I doubt it, but it could be. Or on the other hand, it could be a top secret signet, which is
Even more concerning.
could be how he's giving the information to the Venin, for example. So,
Oh, that's a thought.
yes.
And then we finally make it to the one reaction all of us are here to comment on. Mama Sorrengail, who cuts everyone off and says, don't fucking say the name until she does. Which, okay. Everybody have their reaction, and then I'm going to throw mine out here, and we'll see how this goes.
I'll go last, because I've been jumping in a lot. So John, Cassie, then me.
Okay, so this particular one here, I am absolutely convinced that Mama Sorrengail is doing everything in her power to make it so that no one can accuse her daughter of any sort of malfeasance to try to get her out of the bond. Like, if someone accidentally shared the name, then General Melgren could be like, wait. She didn't actually know the name. You said it. You gave it to her. Or... And so I think a lot of this here is like, it looks like Mama Sorrengail is being the most distant bitch ever. I think Mama Sorrengail is doing everything in her power to stop nepotism from ever being mentioned.
I like that. That interpretation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. Like Violet's all like, she doesn't believe in me, and it's like, no, she believes in you, but she knows that everyone else doesn't. So she's making sure that everything goes by the book right now, so that no one can accuse you of like lucking your way into this or it being a mistake or any of those things. I wrote that this ritual is the proof to discount the naysayers.
Yes.
Okay. And I have a slightly different take, so I love that. I have a slightly different take that I think could work in accordance with mine. So, Cassie, as you touched on, Violet takes this reaction from Mama Sorrengail as not being sure that Tairn is even hers, that she is doubting Violet, doesn't think Violet is good enough, and not even checking to see if Violet is okay. So, first of all, I don't think that she's looking at Violet to see if she's okay, because obviously she's standing, she's here, she has survived. Any other injury, that's like just secondary to the fact that she is alive. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get her
And
fixed
made
up
it to a dragon.
and made
She
it to a
has a
dragon.
dragon.
Yeah, I think that she clocked Violet right away, was like, she's standing, cool. Like, I don't need to worry about her right now. So I think that her being like, she doesn't even care if I'm okay. It's like, she knows that you're fucking fine, Violet. Like, don't worry
She's
about
seen
it.
you
So,
through injury before. Like, the fact that you're alive is all she needs to know.
It's
Yeah.
just a limp. She's seen worse.
yes, she's seen worse. And or okay, so sorry, this is my note that I believe that she probably clocked Violet the second that Violet landed, and or she's having Omshur giving her updates, at least to be like, yes, Violet's alive, yes, Violet's alive, yes, Violet's alive. So as I think that she is not concerned about Violet right now because she doesn't need to
The
be.
mental
So,
emergency radio.
Because she convinced her dragon to go be a nosy spy for her. Which, so do you think that Mama Sorengale knows about the whole Zayden thing?
Which,
Do you think Aimster
I
would
don't
have
know.
reported that?
about him, his, like, quote-unquote intervention, or...
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think this is probably like, I'm sure tell me when Violet gets here, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if he had eyes on her the whole time.
Or if it was just monitoring as they landed and like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could buy that.
Because she doesn't want other people to think that she is giving special attention to Violet. That's another kind of going along with that nepotism comment. So,
And theoretically, Aimster would be in her mind and would agree with... If he didn't agree, he would have corrected her at some point. Like...
yes. Yeah. So, in addition to being like, Violet's fucking fine, we don't need to worry about it, I took her comment of don't say it, not until she does. And again, I really like your guys' interpretation. I think that it could be either or these could blend together. I think that she is fucking terrified. I think that she is in disbelief because she may or may not know about the mated bond with Scale, but regardless, she does know that Tairn is such a powerful dragon that Violet will be on the front lines. She is going to learn about everything. She is going to be in direct danger. She knows her daughter is not going to look the other way, and she is going to do the right thing, which is the whole issue with the Scribe Quadrant. So I think that she is just panicking of like, oh fuck, what does this mean for Violet's life? She also may be thinking that Tairn was one of the last beings to see Brennan alive.
Oh.
And so she just might be having an emotional war.
And has she seen Tairn since that happened?
And she just might be, I think she's in emotional turmoil, and so she's like, fuck. So that's my thought there.
Those are...
I enjoy that. I would go so much further as to maybe add this, because remember, Dane tried to talk Violet into a brown, and Aimster's a brown. So
Yes.
what if that was actually Mama Sorengale? What if she...
I could see that.
What if she somehow got a hold of
honestly-
Dane, and she was like, Violet would look good on a brown.
Just planting seeds,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't really see her being that indirect about it. I don't know. Or micromanaging.
I do, because again, she's not giving any indicate... Like, she purposely told her daughter, I will not talk to you again for the next 3 years.
As we talked about when we were talking about how Dane was like, you should bond to Brown. Yeah, the only thing that makes sense to me is that he feels like, for whatever reason, whether from his own brain or from a seed planted by Mama Sorengale, that a Brown would be the safest bet because it would be a closer relation to her mom's dragon.
Well, and they are known for their intelligence and their...
Well, no, remember we talked about it. We literally don't know like anything about Browns.
You're right. You're
I'll have
absolutely
to
right.
pull it up again. Yeah, I don't have my notes from that chapter with me, but it's like we literally only get that you shouldn't show trepidation to a Brown.
This is true. And so I if that's the case, I kind of like the headcanon that somehow Dane got like the thought was planted in his brain and he rolled with it without knowing that that was what was supposed to happen to begin with. I also like the idea that she's staring at Tairn and going, fuck, my daughter is writing that.
Yep.
Okay. I want to call out, now that we've gotten through all of the different reactions, including Violet's reaction to all the other people, is like I'd be able to hijack Tairn. I wonder if that's going to become relevant in another book.
Hijacking dragons? Maybe it's even going to become relevant in the next chapter, according to my notes.
Oh, damn.
We'll get there.
had a sort of a side tangent question, which is about this relationship between Violet and Lilith, and like what we think might be going on in Lilith's head versus what Violet's perceiving. And I was just wondering, like, if Violet is pregnant, or if she becomes so later on, how do we think her dynamic with her child is going to be? Like, do we think she's also going to be, like, do we think she's going to be more upfront about everything and very affectionate, or is she also going to have to hold everything in and, like, this sort of emotional self-defense?
That's an excellent question, and I think that we should save it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a big old
A,
save
because I would like to think on it. B, because that is so far off from where we are right now, Cassie.
Well, and like it gets colored by Xaden's relationship with his parents and so many other things.
And her future interactions with her mother, too.
Well, and with Xaden's mother. And
Something to think about, then.
Yes, something to keep in our brains, and then once we get to, is she pregnant, we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, good question, though. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to think about that.
Yo, we're so close, and we're so close, so let's get through it here.
Let's go.
What I love about this is seeing her mother's reaction, processing through all of it. Her final conclusion becomes, fuck her. Like, how much of Violet getting through this quadrant is spite?
Spite, but also I was just thinking, like, the reason for my question is just like the huge disparity between these like angsty teenager feelings that Violet's having versus all of these very real concerns that her mother has to like juggle, and how that's like such a normal mother-daughter thing in real life too.
It
just
so
heightened with
is.
dragons.
Because even the first few times reading this, like, I wasn't even really giving Lilith's motives a second thought. But now that I've thought more about how really the only thing she cares about is protecting her children and all of this stuff, I'm just like, Violet, you don't get
different
it.
Way.
Yo, and it's
you'll
really,
get it one day when you're a mother.
and it's really funny when you think about the fact that her son is basically about Violet's age right now. As far as I've figured out, her son is somewhere in the high school to college range, in there somewhere.
Rebecca's son. Okay,
Rebecca
I was
Yarros.
confused for a second.
No,
Yes.
yeah, Rebecca Yarros.
I was like, Brennan's older.
And so it's hilarious that she's writing all of this angst in, because she's been staring at her kid for years, just like, what is it gonna take? And
Yep.
So, shout out to Rebecca Yarros. Thank you for writing your parenting process into the book. Powered by the spite she now feels, Violet makes it to the roll call table, hands over her name, hands over Tairn's name, to which we get a Cassie remark. Pronunciation could use some work.
Yep. I just wrote, that's why we have Cassie.
And Violet at least is picking up on what kind of relationship she's going to have with her dragons. Obviously, it's going to be smartass. And so she comes back with, at least I remembered, bitch. You said you'd have to remind me.
That's the John comment.
Yup. And we get to that, at least I didn't let you fall to your death, which is going to be, like, the number of times Tairn uses that against Violet is hilarious to me. And then everything hits the fan. Because as she's about to walk away, Violet gets hit with a new message from her little golden dragon. And Darna's full name is Indarna Yoram. I didn't say it right. I know I didn't say it right. And Darna, for sure. Violet is exasperated because, what the fuck did you just say?
She's like, no, what? Sorry?
She's just standing there.
Yeah, like, can you imagine just turning around and staring in disbelief at your dragons, and everyone else is like, what? We saw the big black dragon. Are you just now realizing that's who you came in with?
Like, are you okay?
Like, do you need
Do you need
a
Do you need
mender?
Nolan?
But
Yeah.
after she's given the name, so like they know she knows.
Okay, so I have two things really quickly before we turn the page.
Yep.
So first, she's saying, "Do you need a mender?" Not
No.
Nolan, implying that there is multiple menders
Yes.
Yep.
on site. Two, so we keep talking about how the only people who know the dragons' names are the writer who gives it and the scribes, but the person who is taking roll is not a scribe. And I just went back, that's why I got quiet for a minute to confirm this. So this redhead she mentions is the same person who was taking roll at Parapet. So if we go
When
back
she had the
to,
knife at Jack's balls, yep.
yeah, so that was a writer who is a redhead. So we have a writer who is taking the role. So there is plenty of room for tricky tricks between where this role is taken and when the scribes get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Like clearly,
just pointing that out there.
There's that aspect, and I think if we said scribes, it was by accident or by interpretation, because we
Yeah.
constantly talk about the role keeper, and like it would make sense that scribes are
Yeah.
role keepers, except for they're not allowed.
yeah, I assume that it was a scribe.
Yeah, I think I just assumed scribe, but yeah, it says only a writer and the role keeper know a dragon's full name.
Yeah.
So maybe the Dragon Rider Quadrant refused to let the scribes have this capacity. Maybe they insisted that it had to remain within the writer's quadrant.
Keep that info top secret even from
Yeah.
information
that's
sector.
possible.
Yeah. Because the dragons insist. I love that argument. Because the dragons insist.
Yep.
But do they?
Yep. Both dragons are like, fucking tell her the name. So, of course, Violet turns around and says, very quietly, and in Darna Urim, and everyone freaks. Because landing
All
with the
hell
biggest...
breaks loose.
Yeah, because landing with the biggest black dragon on the continent, or the second largest dragon on the continent, wasn't enough. But then she gets a second dragon? Like, yeah.
That's not fair!
Fair.
I think some people are feeling inadequate about their bond right now.
Yeah, think so. Well, that took longer than I thought, you guys. It always ends up that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that is the end of chapter 15. And unless we have any thoughts, we can go ahead and end it now.
Send her on.
All right, so that'll do it for us this week. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Charity!
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Wing Readers. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at The Wing Readers, or you can send us an email at thewingreaders@gmail.com. It would mean the world to us for you to subscribe and rate us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. New episodes drop every Tuesday. We'll see you in chapter 16.